10 rifles, 10 completely different design philosophies, and somehow these are the ones winning over ranchers, hog hunters, and truck gun owners everywhere. One dates back to 1982 and still rides behind pickup seats today. Another just debuted at SHOT Show 2026. So what actually makes these 10 rifles worth the hype? Let's start at number 10. Number 10. The Savage Axis II. This is the rifle you hand to a ranch hand who's never owned a bolt gun in his life, and trust him not to lose sleep over it. Chambered in .308 Winchester with a 22-inch barrel, the Axis II runs Savage's AccuTrigger system, adjustable anywhere from 2.5 to 6 pounds, which is a serious feature to find on a rifle that street prices around $400. Feed it quality factory ammunition like Federal Gold Medal Match or Hornady ELD Match, and this budget bolt gun will consistently put 3 shots into about an inch at 100 yards. That's genuine sub-MOA performance from a rifle that costs less than most people's rifle scope. It isn't going to turn heads sitting in a safe next to a walnut stock custom rifle, and the trigger guard is polymer, not steel, so purists will grumble. But out in a truck bed, bouncing down a rutted ranch road in the rain, looks were never the assignment. Reliable and affordable beats fragile and expensive every single time out here, and that's exactly why the Axis II keeps showing up on gun racks from the Texas Hill Country to eastern Montana. The synthetic stock shrugs off rain and cold better than any wood-stocked rifle twice its price. And because it shares a footprint with the rest of the Axis family, spare parts and aftermarket stocks are easy to track down years down the road, which matters a lot for a rifle that's going to spend its life getting tossed around a truck bed. Number 9. The Weatherby Vanguard Series II. Weatherby's name is usually attached to the Mark V, the premium Magnum rifle line that built the brand's reputation. The Vanguard is the quieter, working-class sibling, and it has quietly become the better seller. The barreled action is manufactured in Japan by Howa to Weatherby's specification, while final assembly and the stock now happen in the United States. Every Vanguard Series II carries a sub-MOA accuracy guarantee when fed Weatherby or premium factory ammunition, backed by a slim pistol grip stock borrowed straight from the Mark V's silhouette, and a 2-stage trigger that punches well above the rifle's price class. Chamberings run from .223 Remington all the way up to .300 Weatherby Magnum, which means the same basic platform can handle coyotes at first light or elk at 400 yards. SHOT Show 2026 coverage named it one of the strongest Bions, hunt everything rifles on the market, and after handling one, it's easy to see why. This isn't a rifle chasing a trend. It's a rifle that's been quietly earning trust in gun cabinets for over 50 years, ever since the original Vanguard launched back in 1970. The Series 2 update kept prices surprisingly reasonable, with the blued model starting under $500 and the stainless version running about $200 more, which puts genuine sub-MOA accuracy within reach of almost anyone shopping for a working rifle rather than a safe queen. Number 8. The Browning BLR Lightweight 81. Lever guns have a reputation problem on ranches, mostly because most of them are stuck feeding round-nosed bullets through a tubular magazine designed in the 1800s. The BLR solved that problem back in 1971 with a detachable box magazine, which means it can safely run modern pointed Spitzer bullets without the tip of one round resting against the primer of the next. That single design choice turns a classic lever gun into a legitimate long-range performer. The rack and pinion action and multi-lug rotating bolt head are strong enough to handle serious Magnum cartridges. Everything from .222-50 Remington for varmints up through .300 Winchester Magnum for elk, with a .450 Marlin available for hunters who want brush gun stopping power. Built by Moroku in Japan with a checkered walnut stock and a lightweight aluminum alloy receiver, the BLR weighs in under 7 pounds and carries all day without complaint. A clever detail most first-time owners never notice is that the trigger itself moves along with the lever when it's cycled, which keeps a trigger finger from getting pinched between the lever and the stock. A small design touch that quietly separates a well-engineered lever gun from a cheap one. It runs about $1,000 new, which isn't pocket change, but for a rifle you can hand down to your kids and still trust with modern ammunition, that price starts to make a lot more sense. Number 7. The Franchi Momentum Utility Light Elite, nicknamed the MUL by pretty much everyone who's handled one. This rifle debuted at SHOT Show 2026, and it might be the purest distillation of the ranch rifle concept on this entire list. Franchi built it around a stubby 16 1/4 inch barrel, keeping the overall length under 39 inches, short enough to ride flat in a UTV rack, a truck cab, or a ground blind without banging into every door frame in the barn. It's available in .223 Remington or .308 Winchester, feeding from a detachable box magazine that holds up to 10 rounds depending on caliber. The evolved Ergonom X stock soaks up recoil. The Veil Camo and Graphite Black Cerakote finish shrug off weather and scratches, and the threaded muzzle means a suppressor bolts on without turning the rifle into an unwieldy telephone pole. Add M-lock slots on the forend for a light or a bipod, flip-up adjustable sights as a backup to whatever optic you mount, and a one-piece Picatinny rail running the length of the receiver, and you've got a rifle purpose-built for the way people actually hunt in 2026. Splitting time between the truck, the blind, and the fence line, not standing still in a magazine photo shoot. Number 6. The Foxtrot Mike Ranch Rifle. This one takes AR-15 internals and drops them into a stock shaped like an old Remington 870 shotgun, and the result is stranger and more useful than it sounds. The bufferless design eliminates the traditional AR buffer tube entirely, which is what allows that shotgun-style Hogue stock to exist in the first place. The charging handle lives inside the handguard instead of at the rear of the receiver, and it can be swapped from the left side to the right side, depending on how you shoulder the rifle. Chambered in .556 NATO and running standard AR-15 magazines, it keeps the reliability and aftermarket support of America's most common rifle platform, while wearing a silhouette that stays 50-state legal even in places that restrict rifles built around a pistol grip. A 4-port muzzle device helps tame muzzle rise for faster follow-up shots on running hogs or coyotes. And the barrel is machined from premium match-grade steel and finished in a melanite coating for corrosion resistance out in genuinely nasty weather. For a rancher in a state with tighter rifle regulations, or for anyone who just wants that familiar 870 feel on a modern action, this is a genuinely clever piece of engineering hiding inside a very unassuming rifle. Number 5. The Henry Long Ranger Express. Henry Repeating Arms built this one specifically as what they call a multi-purpose ranch gun, and the spec sheet backs that claim up. It's chambered in .223 Remington and .556 NATO, wrapped around a compact 16.5-inch barrel that's threaded for a suppressor or a muzzle device, instead of carrying traditional sights. Inside, a 6-lug rotary bolt head locks into a machined steel extension, driven by a geared lever action instead of a simple hinge, which is what gives Henry's modern lever guns bolt action levels of lockup strength. It feeds from a 5-round detachable box magazine rather than the tube magazines found on most traditional lever rifles, and the receiver is drilled and tapped for a Picatinny rail right out of the box. Built with an American walnut and laminate stock over an aircraft-grade aluminum receiver, and made entirely in the United States at Henry's Rice Lake, Wisconsin facility, the Long Ranger Express gives ranchers who love the feel of a lever gun the accuracy and modern chambering options that older tube-fed designs simply can't match. There's no separate manual safety to fumble with either. Like every Henry centerfire lever gun, it relies on a trigger-activated transfer bar, meaning the rifle can only fire if the trigger is actually pulled, which keeps it genuinely safe to carry with a round chambered while bouncing around in a truck rack all day. Number 4. The CZ600 Alpha and its trail variant. CZ chambered this rifle in 7.62x39, the same cartridge that's ballistically similar to the classic 3.030 Winchester deer round, and independent testing has been kind to it. When Gun Tests magazine put a CZ600 head-to-head against a similarly priced Ruger American, the CZ simply outshot it, running smoother, feeding more reliably, and kicking noticeably less. That's a meaningful result, because the Ruger American Ranch is one of the best-selling bolt guns in this entire category. The CZ600's action is famously light recoiling and ergonomic, easy for a smaller framed shooter or a first-time hunter to run confidently through a full day in the field. It's not the most famous name on this list, and plenty of ranchers have never even handled one, since CZ built its American reputation mostly on shotguns and handguns before the 600 series bolt guns arrived. But once you shoot a CZ600 next to almost anything else in its price range, it's hard to walk away and buy the more familiar option instead. The trail variant trims the barrel down further for handier carry in thick brush, while the standard Alpha keeps a longer barrel for hunters who want a bit more velocity out of that 7.62 round. Number 3. The Savage 110, freshly overhauled for 2026. This is the oldest continuously produced bolt-action hunting rifle in the United States. And rather than resting on that history, Savage just gave the entire lineup its biggest update in years. The new AccuFit V2 stock includes a quick-set dial mounted just behind the pistol grip, letting a shooter adjust comb height by up to 0.8 of an inch and length of pull by a full inch, all without a single tool. Interchangeable grip modules let the rifle fit small, medium, or large hands right out of the box. And the redesigned extractor pairs with Savage's dual ejector system for genuinely dependable feeding, even with mixed ammunition in the magazine. Add a second-generation adjustable AccuTrigger with a new release blade designed to prevent accidental lockup, and you've got over a dozen new model variants launching across multiple calibers, including left-handed options. A rifle this old shouldn't feel this current, and yet here we are. The 110 platform actually traces back to 1958, which means this 2026 refresh represents nearly 70 years of the same basic action being quietly refined rather than replaced. The new polymer magazines are backward compatible with previous 110 rifles too, so longtime Savage owners aren't left stranded when they decide to upgrade. Number 2. The Ruger American Ranch, now in its Gen 2 form. Ruger built this rifle to solve a very specific problem, giving hunters in restrictive states a bolt-action alternative that still runs standard AR-15 magazines and mounts a suppressor without any gunsmithing. The 16.1-inch threaded barrel keeps the rifle handy in tight brush or a truck cab, and Ruger's Marksman adjustable trigger gives it a crisp, tunable pull straight from the factory. Every metal surface wears a durable Cerakote finish built to survive years of weather and abuse, and the modular stock adjusts to fit different shooters without a single aftermarket part. What really sets the Gen 2 apart is its caliber lineup. Alongside standard 223 and 300 blackout chamberings, Ruger now offers the Ranch in straight-wall cartridges like 350 Legend, 400 Legend, and 450 Bushmaster, cartridges required by law for deer hunting in states like Ohio, Michigan, and Iowa. At a street price hovering around $550, it's genuinely hard to find a more purpose-built rifle for the price. And that combination of value and legal flexibility is exactly why it's edged out almost everything else on this list except one. The American Ranch traces its lineage back to the original Ruger American, which launched in 2011 and quickly became one of the best-selling bolt-action platforms in the country. So this Gen 2 version has a decade of real-world feedback baked into every part of the design, which brings us to number 1, the Ruger Mini 14 Ranch Rifle, the gun that basically invented this entire category. Ruger introduced the original Mini 14 back in 1973, a scaled-down, semi-automatic homage to the military M14 rifle, advertised at the time as, quote, the smallest of powerful small arms. It sold well from the start, but it had one real limitation. Mounting a scope on the original design was clumsy at best. So in 1982, Ruger redesigned the rear sight, machined integral scope mounts directly into the steel receiver, and gave the new version an official name, the Ranch Rifle. That single upgrade turned a good rifle into the rifle that defined an entire genre, and every model built since 2005 has used that same Ranch Rifle pattern as the baseline. Over 3 million Mini 14s have shipped since production began, chambered in 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington, with the Mini 30 variant offering 7.62x39 for hunters who prefer that classic 30-30 style ballistic performance. Its traditional wood or synthetic stock and lack of a pistol grip mean it stays legal to own in states that restrict other semi-automatic rifles by feature, and its gas-operated action has spent 5 decades earning a reputation for shrugging off mud, dust, and neglect that would jam plenty of more modern designs. Today's cold, hammer-forged barrels and tightened tolerances shoot 2-inch groups at 100 yards, respectable accuracy for a design that's older than most of the ranchers currently carrying one. It's shown up in movies and television for decades, most famously slung over the shoulder of Hannibal Smith on the A-Team, and it's sitting in more gun safes than almost any other rifle in America. Half a century later, it's still the rifle every other ranch rifle on this list is quietly being compared to, whether its designer intended that or not. So what actually connects all 10 of these rifles? It isn't caliber, and it definitely isn't price, since this list runs from a $400 Savage all the way up to rifles pushing well past $1,000. It isn't even action type, since bolt guns, lever guns, and semi-autos all made the cut. What connects them is intent. Every single one was built to be handled roughly, carried daily, and trusted without a second thought when something threatens the herd or the crop. The engineering all points toward the same goal: a rifle that works when you need it and doesn't ask for anything in return. That's a much higher bar than most rifles on a showroom wall ever have to clear, and it's exactly why these 10 keep earning their spot behind the seat instead of gathering dust in a safe. If one of these rifles is already living behind your truck seat, drop it in the comments. We want to know which one earned your trust and why. Every rifle on this list got there by actually doing the job, not by winning a spec sheet argument on a forum somewhere, and that's the only review that really matters out on working land.